Ito singa to kuno talita na paro nga radio Fijuan na station yal mo to.
Ako na poro ko na talita. Mandaw talita kini na paro radio Fijuan.
Kitongo isu untuk talita na paro na radio Fijuan station yal mo to.
Kito talita na radio Fijuan. Na radio Fijuan endo talita kitalanga singotoka.
Station di Matino Pinatia na radio Fijuan kwa beyanyan.
Na Radio Fijuan nandumay bitin na ponga ni BNN.
In this bulletin, Nassau Village has a new Irish crossing after 30 years. Elections Office hires more staff. A new program encourages school attendance. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. People of Nassau Village in Wainimbuka are thankful a new bridge has finally been commissioned in their area. Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama opened the bridge yesterday, meaning school children and the elderly won't risk their lives crossing the river. Apisalome Doka has the story.
Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama, while commissioning the $1 million Irish crossing, apologized for the people of Nassau being neglected for decades.
I'm a bit embarrassed to say that this is just one of the many instances of neglect by previous governments over the years that are finally being rectified. And I want to apologize to the people of Nassau that it has taken so long for their needs to be addressed. There is no excuse for what has happened here. The failure to replace an existing piece of infrastructure that was vital to the well-being of ordinary people.
The crossing has brought relief to the people of Nassau, but not only us, the people of Wainibuka, Fijians and even tourists. They will no longer have to cross the river.
We are so happy for this development. I was born here. I am now 58. We had a crossing once. It was damaged. Then we returned to crossing the river. Now we have this wonderful crossing. We are so happy, and it has also changed the look of our village.
Bainimarama urged the people of Nassau to use the new crossing and improve their income by making use of their natural resources. As the election grows near, Bainimarama has reminded the people of Wainimbuka not to be carried away by lies being spread about him.
They have accused me, a fellow Itoke, of weakening the protection of Itoke land and of weakening the position of the Christian churches in Fiji. On both counts, I want to tell you that these are lies. They are simply not true, and let me explain why. There is no threat to Itoke land. You don't have to take my word for this. You can read it for yourself in the Constitution.
Bainimarama, as the country is growing and there are people who are trying to work against their plans for a new Fiji.
There's never been a better time to be Fijian. There's never been a better time to be a citizen of this nation with its growing economy, the promise of more prosperity, punching above its weight and standing tall in the world.
Prime Minister has advised the people of Wainimbuka to vote wisely. Apisalome Doka, FBC News.
14 more civic educators have been hired by the Fijian Elections Office today. Supervisor Mohammed Sanim told the staff they must at all times operate with the highest standards to maintain the faith and trust of the Fijian people. He called on the civic educators to look at the mission statement of the Fijian Elections Office, which aren't just words on paper, but a solemn pledge to the Fijian people. Sanim reminded the civic educators their actions in the community would reflect on all election staff and the 2014 general elections. 18 civic educators have already been mobilized around the country. Students who come to school every day will be rewarded under a new program called Vuli Roz. Vuli is Itauke for school and Roz is everyday in Hindi. Savaratambo reports.
The program has been introduced because students are still missing school despite free education grant provided by government.
After provision of free bus fares and textbooks and tuition grants, one of the areas we identified was that there were schools where children were still absent. not very regular. So Boliro's program has been designed, and we are trying to see that schools are able to identify why children are absent.
Students will be monitored, and those with 100% attendance will be rewarded with a gold star for their effort. The Education Ministry is working with the Access to Quality Education program, which is providing $170,000 to train teachers and get necessary resources.
The starting point is always kind of the parents, because it's the parents that determine whether they bring or they provide what is needed to get their children to school. So the Vulros campaign is just one aspect of the work that ACAP is providing to improve on student attendance.
The program is now running in 32 schools, which had less than 80% attendance in the last term.
In the first week of its implementation, we have seen the result in one school. I have personally been to Bolabutu, and one of the things that has attributed to 100% attendance is the introduction of computer classes there.
There will be a nationwide campaign and competition between selected schools in each division to improve attendance. Sabera Tambua, FBC News.
Coming up after the break, Reserve Bank records $31 million profit.
Gold FM is #1 here in Sigatoka.
Gold FM is our favorite radio station here in Lautoka.
Gold FM is #1 in Nen.
I love listening to Gold FM in Ba.
We love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits here in Suva.
Hear about bottled cola, you immediately think of gold. I'm Josephine Sabi and I love hearing Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. The Reserve Bank had a profit of $31.9 million in its 2013 financial year, thanks to higher income and lower expenditure. Its 2013 annual report says the RBF transferred $39.9 million to the government on April 1st. This includes the entire profit and 1/5 of the balance of the revaluation reserves account, which amounted to $8 million. The annual report also summarizes the important steps undertaken by the bank in 2013 to improve governance, transparency, and risk management. Installation of new road signs and guardrails along the stretch of Queens Road between Nandi and the Coral Coast are underway. This is expected to be completed in time for the country's first international golf tour event, the inaugural Fijian PGA from August 14th to the 17th at the Natandola Bay Golf Course in Sigatoka. The Fiji Roads Authority says that one of their first priorities is the safety of tourists and residents during the tournament. The focus will move to the next section of the Queens Road and other major routes. The Water Authority of Fiji says it is satisfied with the Fiji Times response and clarification that Fiji's water is safe to drink. However, the authority is still concerned on reassuring its customers that water supplied by the authority is treated and safe for consumption. Yesterday, WAF refuted an international study reported in the Fiji Times that said Fiji's water quality is worse than Uganda in Africa. WAF says the report is false and misleading. A 23-year-old village headman of Lambasa has been jailed for 18 months for defiling a Form 5 student last year. The man, who was a Turanganikoro or village headman at the time, pleaded guilty in the Lambasa High Court. The court heard that the victim's mother found out about the incident and reported the matter to the police. She refused to accept his apology in court, saying as Turanganikoro he breached her trust. A search is on for 6 men who've been reported missing at sea since last Saturday. The men departed Vanuatu Village in Laos in a cabin fiberglass boat bound for Navatu diving spot to collect sea clams. The team managed to reach Tovu Village on Totoya Island, spent 2 days on the island and were to return to Vanuatu on Monday, but failed to do so. Mariners and people living in coastal villages along Yatulau waters have been urged to keep a lookout and report any sighting to police. And we turn to sports now. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Good evening. After the break, we take a look at Brazil's tragic exit of the FIFA World Cup and a preview of tomorrow's second semi-final clash between Argentina and the Netherlands. These stories and more coming up.
Mirchi FM is number 1 in Singatoka.
I love Mirchi FM, it's so hot.
Teke me lala, kai me hi. Tangi tau me.
Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singatoka, love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is number 1 in Suva. It's hot.
Mirchi FM, Bon Julum Julum.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Despite losing 3 of his key players for the upcoming IRB World 7 Series, Fiji coach Ben Ryan is looking towards another. Former national rep Chochi Rangamate could feature for the side if available. This as Ryan looks at getting his best players to feature in the upcoming season. Indra Singh has more.
He has lost 3 key players but could be thrown a lifeline with another former rep likely to be in the mix.
Oh, it'd be great news if he's still here. I haven't yet found out whether he's coming back to France or if he's staying in Fiji. But if he stays in Fiji, absolutely a big asset.
Ryan has unearthed a number of unknown talents since his time in the job and is looking at emulating this further this season.
Yeah, that's right. No, there's a lot of work to do for this season. Big season with Olympic qualification at stake. So the first few weeks will just be to make sure we got our planning in place.
With the top 4 teams from the next IRB series qualifying for the 2016 Olympics in Brazil, the Englishman is wary of what other nations will offer.
Yeah, it's a big season because I'm sure some of the other countries, particularly someone like Australia, are going to be putting more resources and higher quality of player into their system. So we got to make sure that we don't slip up here and we get into the top 4. So we qualify automatically for Olympics. We don't want to have to worry about trying to qualify to regional competitions, and all of that could become a lottery. So yeah, huge year and lots of hard work ahead.
It's all about the working process and getting the best personnel. The task is only getting harder, but with the best talent available, Ryan will surely have an exciting season. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
The Korean national cricket team has arrived into the country for its 12-match tour of Fiji. Coached by Julian Fountain, who has previously mentored West Indies, Pakistan, Bangladesh and England, the side should have a lot to offer Fiji cricket.
Very interesting 2 weeks. Obviously I'm biased. I think we're going to do really well, but we're looking forward to some very tough cricket over the next couple of weeks.
And this must be a good testing ground for the players for the Asian Pacific.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously we're preparing for the Asian Games in Incheon in Korea, which comes up at the end of September. So that's what our team is training for at the moment. But now this is going to be a very good 2 weeks for us.
Fountain also admitted that a few of his players are actually new to the sport. The first match gets underway 12 p.m. Friday between Korea and Boards at Albert Park in Suva. The Fiji Table Tennis Association will host local competitions to trim the national squad for the upcoming 2015 Pacific Games next year in Papua New Guinea. There are currently 25 players in the squad, with national coach Mohammed Garib to use these competitions to cut this list down to a 10-member squad of 5 males and 5 females.
The national squad has already been listed out, and we are now starting to prepare the national squad in terms of fitness training and skill training as well. And we've also started training in the mornings at 5 o'clock, doing fitness tests and all those. And we also will be having trials coming up to shorten the squad and select the final team.
Meanwhile, the association is also putting a lot of emphasis on the Business House League, which is expected to start soon. That was your sports for tonight. Good evening.
Amalgamated Telecom Holdings spent $9 million to buy out government shares in Fintel. The deal was struck in August last year as ATH became majority owner of Fintel, which manages the Southern Cross underwater cable. The ATH 2013 annual report states the $9 million is based on the net asset value of the government shares. The report also confirms Fintel sold its freehold property in Vatuanga and its main office building in Suva to the Fiji National Provident Fund for $4.6 million. VB Holdings Limited, the owners of Niranjan's Motors, has secured a $10 million funding facility to cater for increased fleet management business. The company for the last 4 months has been in discussions with a number of banks to provide wholesale funding to expand its business. The $10 million facility now allows VB Holdings to cater for successful tenders to the government and corporate organizations. It's that time again, weather with Trish.
Thanks, Jackie. Looking at today's conditions, we had Suva, Savu and Lambasa with cloudy skies and occasional showers all day long. Nadi, Lotoka and Bas started off with cloudy skies with scattered showers here and there in the morning, but as the day progressed, fine weather galore. In temperatures today, we had Suva and Nadi Lotoka on 29, Ba on 30, Lambasa 32, last but not the least, Savu on 29. Tomorrow's forecast, good news, a chance of change from the previous weather we have been having for the past few days, a chance of fine weather for all 6 major centers all day long. As for Marinus, northwest to southwest winds 15 to 20 knots, predominantly becoming southerly and moderate seas. Finally, with our image of the day, courtesy of Chamesakeen. If you have pictures that you would like to share with us, well then you're more than welcome to send them in to citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj.
Thanks so much for that, Trish. Recapping our top stories. Nassau Village has a new Irish crossing after 30 years. Elections Office has hired 14 more staff to carry out voter education, and Education Ministry launches a new program to encourage high attendance in schools. To our poll question now, we're asking, are you familiar with the voting process? Visit our FBC website, www.fbc.com.fj, to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page, FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. You can also find us on YouTube, FBC TV 2011, or on Instagram, FBC TV. That's all from the news team for now. We'll be back again at the same time tomorrow. Join us then. Good evening.